Good morning, YouTube. Or if it's night where you are, I wish you a good evening. Now, today's session is going to be a little different. It's not going to be a storytelling, it's not going to be a book review. It is going to be a sort of a book review. But what I'll be doing is I'll be reading out the prologue to The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. That's this book right here. And I'm going to be telling you the story of how I came across it. So, I used to have a friend whom I used to call K, and K and I met on Omegle of all places, and K suggested the Night Circus to me in an email. We had exchanged numbers, we had exchanged email IDs, and K one day said that I'm really reading this cool book. It's called The Night Circus, and it's by Erin Morgenstern, and I think you'll enjoy it as well. So at the time, it slipped my memory, and unfortunately, I got to know later that Kay had passed away. So then I came back to the emails, and as it so happens, I had been asked to pick up the Night Circus by a number of people by then, so I had already picked it up. And so then when I went back to the email chain on knowing that Kay was no longer with us, I picked up the Night Circus, and you see, it became more than just a book for me, it became a memory. And so here I am. I'm going to read out the prologue of The Night Circus in this video, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about what it is and why you should read it. So without further ado, The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, and this is how it starts. Yeah, so my mother has written in this book that I got it in April 2019. So, yeah, I mean, there it is. That's all you need to know. Anticipation. The circus arrives without warning. No announcements precede it, no paper notices on downtown posts and billboards, no mentions or advertisements in local newspapers. It is simply there, when yesterday it was not. The towering tents are striped in black and white, no golds and crimsons to be seen, no color at all, save for the neighboring trees and the grass of the surrounding fields. Black and white stripes on grey sky, countless tents of varying shapes and sizes, with an elaborate wrought iron fence encasing them in a colorless world. Even what little ground is visible from outside is black or white, painted or powdered, or treated with some other circus trick. But it's not open for business. Not just yet. Within hours, everyone in town has heard about it. By afternoon, the news has spread several towns over. Word of mouth is a most effective method of advertisement than typeset words and exclamation points on paper pamphlets or posters. It is impressive and unusual news, the sudden appearance of a mysterious circus. People marvel at the staggering height of the tallest tents. They stare at the clock that sits just inside the gates, that no one can properly describe. And the black sign painted in white letters that hangs upon the gates, the one that reads, opens at nightfall, closes at dawn. What kind of circus is only open at night? People ask. No one has a proper answer. Yet, as dusk approaches, there is a substantial crowd of spectators gathering outside the gates. You are amongst them, of course. Your curiosity got the better of you, as curiosity is wont to do. You stand in the fading light, the scarf around your neck pulled up against the chilly evening breeze, waiting to see for yourself exactly what kind of circus only opens once the sun sets. The ticket booth, clearly visible behind the gates, is closed and barred. The tents are still, save for when they ripple ever so slightly in the wind. The only movement within the circus is the clock that ticks by the passing minutes, if such a wonder of a sculpture can even be called a clock. The circus looks abandoned and empty. but you think perhaps you can smell caramel wafting through the evening breeze, beneath the crisp scent of the autumn leaves. A subtle sweetness at the edges of the cold. The sun disappears completely beyond the horizon, and the remaining luminosity shifts from dusk to twilight. The people around you are growing restless from waiting. A sea of shuffling feet, murmuring about abandoning the endeavor in search of some place warmer to pass the evening. You yourself are debating departing when it happens. First, there is a popping sound. It is barely audible over the wind and conversation. A soft noise like a kettle about to boil for tea. Then comes the light. All over the tent, small lights begin to flicker, as though the entirety of the circus is covered in particularly bright fireflies. The waiting crowd quiets as it watches this display of illumination. Someone near you gasps. A small child claps his hands with glee at the sight. When the tents are all aglow, sparkling against the night sky, the sign appears. Stretched across the top of the gates, hidden in curls of iron, more firefly-like lights flicker to life. They pop as they brighten, some accompanied by a shower of glowing white spikes and a bit of smoke. The people nearest to the gates take a few steps back. At first, it is only a random pattern of lights, but as more of them ignite, it becomes clear that they are aligned in scripted letters. First, a C is distinguishable, followed by more letters, a Q, oddly, and several E's. When the final bulb pops alight and the smoke and sparks dissipate, it is finally legible, the elaborate incandescent sign, leading you on your left to gain a better view. You can see that it reads, Le Cirque de Revas. Some in the crowd smile knowingly, while others frown and look questioningly at their neighbors. A child near you tugs on her mother's sleeve, begging to know what it says. The Circus of Dreams, comes the reply. The girl smiles delightedly. The iron gates shudder and unlock, seemingly on their own volition. They swing outward, inviting the crowd in. Now the circus is open. Now you may enter. And that was the prologue of The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. And it's a magical realism fantasy story that deals with the adventures of two people and how they become embroiled in the circus and what goes on there. And it is truly one of the best books I've ever read. According to my mother, I picked it up in 2019. I must have wolfed it down. I loaned it to my sister from a different mister, and she absolutely adored it. It is one of those books that have stayed with me for a very long time. It's very special to me because it's my friend's memory. And if what I just read out gave you any sort of an interest, it retails on Amazon for about 350 or 380 rupees. You can pick it up, read it for yourself. I hope you won't be disappointed. I wasn't. And that's all I've got for you on this most bright morning here in India. And I believe it is night in America. Who knows? Maybe somewhere out there, the night circus isn't fictional. Maybe in a parallel universe, the night circus is the only kind of circus there is. But anyway, this is conjecture. And this is the Bilge Master signing off. Take care of yourself.